Good morning, everyone. This is PIN227 section 2 on May the 11th, one day after Mother's Day. How are you all doing today? Hopefully, I should have some people invited here. I'm waiting for them to arrive. Let's give them some more time. 227, section 2. Have you there? Hello, Carlos. How are you doing?
Good. Bit tired, but
All right, good, fair enough. Monday mornings are just like that, right? Monday mornings. How was your Mother's Day? Were you able to spend some time with your mothers? Yes, no?
yes, it was a beautiful day. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
How was your day?
It was good. It was good. I ordered a breakfast, a delivery breakfast, and actually I took the breakfast myself in the end because I couldn't find. I mean, we couldn't meet. We couldn't arrange a place to meet. And then I personally took the breakfast, and it was good. It was good. It was fun. It was quite an interesting moment, a different moment as well. Uh, it was not the same as usual Mother's Day, but you know, that happens. That happens. We need to adapt. So let's see. In terms of news, I have finally finished with grading the speaking quizzes, and so the PDF file that it's in the LMS was updated with all of you, or most of you, should have a grade for listening, writing, and speaking now. I posted a link at the bottom of the UCM Virtual, which is called SPQ1 link, Speaking Quiz 1 link. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to go there, and I want you to download your speaking quiz rubric. Okay, the speaking quiz rubric will contain the score, the grade, the sections in the rubric with description accordingly. For example, if you got a 4, you're going to have a description, right, such as short vowel sound, production closely resembles stand. You will read, right? You will read this in the rubric. And also a section that says you must work on the following vowel sounds, and there are some phonemes or symbols highlighted there, and some words at the bottom that you need to take a look at. Review an online dictionary, right, to find out about the pronunciation. Okay, and if you have questions, of course, you're welcome. I mean, you are expected to ask. Okay, therefore, what I want you to do now, okay, I don't know if you're listening now, but what I want you to do now is I want you to go to the LMS, and I want you to go to the link. I'll show you in the LMS what I'm talking about. If you're looking at my desktop now, I'm in the class P227 section 2, and I go to the bottom of the first to the introduction section, and at the bottom you can see this link, SPQ1 link. Okay, you click there and it will take you to it will take you to this section, this folder, in which you can find your rubric, and you download your rubric. Okay, now because I'm going to hide this link later. Okay, so I want you to go now and download your rubric, because I'm going to hide this link later. Okay, can you show me with an icon if you understood what you need to do? Can you share it with an icon in the chat? Is it clear? All right, thank you, Constanza. Thank you, Paolo. All right, Vienna. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Doris. Let me double check, Valentina. Speaking quiz section 2. Okay, Valentina, I'm going to share my desktop with you. I mean, with everyone. Valentina, are you seeing my desktop now? Are you looking at it?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
alrighty. So let me see what I'm sharing. Okay, I'm sharing a folder. All right, so this folder contains the speaking quiz for section 2. I'm going to click there, and these are the Okay, these are the recordings that I received. As you can see here, Constanza, Daniel, Ignacia, Karen, Luciano, Paulina, Valentina, Fuente. Okay, Valentina Samarano, I got you here. Great. So give me a second to find out if Valentina Fuentes, Valentina Zamorano. Okay, exactly. Yours is. I'm trying to guess that maybe I read Valentina and then I skipped to Margaret, and I don't know, maybe, but that's my mistake. Okay, I'm going to write it down so I go over it. Valentina Zamorano. Speaking quiz, one rubric. Okay, Valentina, so I'll need to go over your recording. I did not listen to it. I skipped you. I'm sorry about that, but that's the truth, okay? And I need to listen to your recording and I need to assess your speaking performance. And that's going to happen today, okay? That's there's no other explanation I can give you. And of course, I apologize for that. I was going over a very, a non-stop revision yesterday, and yeah, I guess I have Valentina Fuentes here at the bottom. So, yeah, sorry about that, but today I will assess your quiz. I'm sorry about that again. I'm going to go back to the LMS, and as I said before, for PIN227 section 2, I'm going to hide the link. Okay, so if by any chance okay, now it's hidden, just in case someone else needs to take a look at or was not here today. Maybe that's going to be one good option to have it there and not take it entirely, from the website, but keep it there hidden. All right, let's go back to the course. As far as I remember, there were four groups that we covered before in terms of consonant sounds, because that's our main topic these days for this course. We were discussing bilabial sounds, right? Labiodentals, interdentals, and dentals, right? And then I think that's where we stopped with alveolar sounds, is as far as I remember. So let's see if we can get some feedback from yourselves. I'm going to ask to some participants to participate in this class. So Thais, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Do you remember any of the consonant groups that we discussed previously in the last session? I think we were describing consonant sounds in one of the three, from one of the three perspectives, right? With the place of articulation. So place of articulation is our main topic. So what do you remember? What do you remember, Thais? Is Thais here? Sorry, I'm not getting any feedback. I'm going to take a look at the chat. Oh, you can't. Okay. I was thinking about having some speaking practice. Let's see, how many participants do we have? Today we have 14. It's a good number. So we're going to have some speaking practice, okay? After we covered some more sounds, okay? Let me show you. So bilabels was the first group that we covered. We talked about three consonant sounds, p, b, and m, called bilabels because they are produced by putting both lips together, right? We saw some examples last session, like as pencil, brown, more. We said that the first one here is produced by putting both lips together, just like b and m. However, we could see that in this example and in this one, here and there, we have the sound in initial position, and here we have the sound in final position. So even though we're going to use the same sound, the same phonemic symbol to represent the p in initial position and the p in final position, we need to understand though that the p in initial position has certain quality that the p in final position does not. When you say pencil, port, pat, and pen, there is a stronger puff of air. The p is very plosive, okay? Whereas when it's in final position, as in stop, 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 there is an unreleased puff of air. It's not stop, but stop, okay? But so even though for this course we're going to use the same symbol to represent both sounds, right? P in initial position and P in final position, or in middle position, okay? We need to understand that the same sound does not have the same qualities, okay? Pencil, stop. It's not the same sound, right? It's not the same sound. And if you have trouble identifying or understanding this, I would suggest you to close your eyes and say pencil, port, stop, focusing on that particular sound, okay? Or the other technique would be to place a piece of paper in front of you, just a piece of paper hanging from your um, uh, uh, fingers, right? And then when you say pencil, port, stop, look at the piece of paper and see what's going on with the piece of paper, right? If it's vibrating, if it's shaking, or if it's not. Okay. And the other group was called labiodentals, as f and v, right? I stressed the v sound, right? Considering that this labiodental is something that we are not used to in Spanish. In our Chilean Spanish, we tend to produce words that start with, for example, bola, bola, and vuelo, exactly with the same sorry, there's an O here, bola, with the same bilabial sound, okay? And in English, these two are phonemes, not just like in the Chilean Spanish, which we would call them actually allophones, because they are different sounds, but they are different variations of the same sound. And if I say vuelo with a bilabial or vuelo with a labiodental, the meaning does not change, right? So that's something that we need to be very careful when we are pronouncing words which have this particular sound, labiodental. It's something that we don't use generally in Spanish, so careful with that, right? Um, we talked about the different spellings that this sound may appear, right? Which makes it interesting and at the same time difficult, right? And finally, we talked about interdentals in between teeth. And we covered some examples, such as thanks and then, thick, that, thought, the, thumb, those, path, this, the, right? And we're going to see that basically the difference between these two sounds has to do with voicing, not with place of articulation, not with matter of articulation. The three categories that we're going to use to describe vowel sounds, right? Finally, alveolars was last group that we covered, right? And alveolars are called alveolars because the tongue is raised, right? Raised to touch the alveolar ridge, the alveolar ridge. And some words that we had for speaking practice are these. We need to remember that this one is very plosive. You say toy, toy, tense, tank, tusk, tramp. Not just like dim, dots, date, dusk, and design, right? In this case, we don't see that plosiveness, that plosion. Another thing we need to remember is that this one is not existent in, it doesn't exist in Spanish, so we need to consciously produce it, right? This one is z, 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 as in zoo, zipper, lazy. You're welcome to repeat right with me if you want. Xerox, kisses, again, zoo,
Zoo,
zipper,
zipper,
lazy,
lazy,
Xerox,
Xerox,
kisses.
Jesus,
Right, good. So the difference between these two sounds, s and z, is just the item or category called voicing, which means if the vowel cords vibrate or the vowel cords do not vibrate. So when we're saying zoo, the vocal cords are vibrating. Whereas when we say su, the vocal cords are not vibrating. So the difference between s and z is basically voicing, right? They have the same place of articulation, which means that they are articulated by raising the tongue, right? And almost touch the alveolar ridge. I say almost touch the alveolar ridge because when you say s and z, the air stream goes over the tongue, right? So the tongue vibrates, right? So you say zzz, and basically the airflow goes over the tongue, right? Over the tip of the tongue. Another thing that we need to remember is that when we say rank, rare, roast, run, and rust, our tongue is not doing the same as when we say, for example, in Spanish, ratón, risa, rogar, rústico, rana. Okay? When you say rana or rústico or rinoceronte, right? We're producing what's called by some as a trill. And a trill is very, very typical for some languages, right? As Spanish. It might also be present in some dialects in English as well, right? But as we're comparing English and Spanish now, when you say risa, there's a trill, right, produced, right? And also the tongue is placed in a different area. because when you're saying rank, rare, roast, your tongue is curled back. So as your tongue is curled back is, I would say, in between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate, between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate when it's curled back, right, in your tongue. It's not the same when you're using the sound r in Spanish, because I would say that it's more alveolar or almost dental, right? Another thing to remember is that as in leaf, lost, and late in initial position has one very clear, right, quality. But when you use it in final position, as in feel and call, particularly here, call, your tongue goes back. So when you are saying, for example, leaf, leaf, which we might represent with this symbol, the tongue, when you say leaf, your tongue is touching the alveolar ridge, leaf. But when you say call, as this sound comes after a long o, and if you remember, a long o is way back, right? It's way back in the oral cavity. O. As your tongue is producing this sound, your tongue is not going forward to touch the alveolar ridge again, but stays right there in the middle. So when you're producing your tongue is again just like curled back, almost in the hard palate. And the symbol to represent this dark quality of the as the that we can find in final position is this symbol, the same symbol, right? Like that, but with something like that, right? It's a very small symbol crossing the to represent the dark nature of the final It's not the same as leaf, lost, call, okay? So if you can hear the difference, right? These two sounds are similar, but they are not exactly the same. How can we represent these using a symbol? Well, we can use the same phonemic symbol, or we can use this phonetic symbol, okay? We talked about the differences between, so t, d, and n are quite basic because you basically raise your tongue to touch your alveolar ridge. T as in 10, d as in day, and n as in no. They are articulated by raising the tip of the tongue and touch the alveolar ridge. Quite simple. But when you are producing s and z, the tip of the tongue is raised, right? But the tip is lowered so that the airflow can escape over the tongue. Okay, s and z. And the difference, is also alveolar, but in which way is this one different? Because you lift or raise the tip of the tongue, you touch the alveolar ridge, but the air escapes through the sides of the tongue. So that's interesting. You raise the tongue, your tongue touches the alveolar ridge, but the air escapes through the sides of the tongue. So that is interesting about the sound, which is why it's called lateral, because the air goes to the sides. As you remember, lateral is connected with lateral in Spanish is connected with lados, right? Lados, lateral through the sides. And when we're producing the we need to understand that the tongue is curled back, right? And it's that's why it's also called a retroflex sound. Okay, as in right, wreck, roar. Okay. We're going to cover today two more sounds two more categories or groups. Palatals is the first one that we're going to be discussing today before the speaking practice. And the first one is shh, as when you hush up something, when you say, please silence, shh, okay, that's that sound, and it's represented by this symbol, okay? It's something like that, okay? That's the symbol to represent shh, as in show, right? As in shown or shine, okay? And this one is quite similar, right? It looks like a 3 with a long tail here, okay? It's not the number 3, okay? It looks like a 3, but the bottom section is quite long. This one it's pronounced zh. So we have sh, sh, sh. So you produce this one sh, and you add voicing. Sh, 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 okay? Sh, sh, sh. And how do you produce this, or how do you articulate this? Right? You raise the front part of the tongue to the hard palate. Okay, it's not the tip of the tongue anymore, but the front part of the tongue, and you touch the hard palate with it. So sh and sh, sh and sh. Okay, you raise the front part of the tongue and you touch the hard palate. Here we have these two sounds, okay? The first column, right? The one on the left, and the third column. So let's start with the one on the left, okay? We have sh, as in, you're welcome to repeat with me if you want, okay? We have shoe,
shoe,
mission,
mission,
nation,
nation,
fish,
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 shore.
shore,
Perfect. Let's try with this one now, okay? So we go from sh to j, right? Measure,
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 vision,
vision,
azure,
azure,
casual,
casual,
decision.
decision,
All right, good. Again, please. Measure,
measure,
vision,
vision,
azure,
azure,
casual,
casual,
decision.
decision.
Excellent, you got it. So these two sounds are interesting. I guess this one is easier than the other one because you can connect it with the action of hushing up or silence or asking someone to be quiet, right? Like shh, and then you can teach that sound to your students. This one, you need to add voicing. How can you tell if this one is voiceless, and this one is voiced? If, in other words, how can you tell that with the production of the first one? Shh, there is no vibration of the vocal cords, and in the production of the second one, there is touching right your throat and producing the two sounds, and going from one to the other one and back and forth, right? Shh, and that's how you can tell that the second one has voicing, because you can, or you should, right, feel that there is vibration here in your throat, and when you touch your throat gently, right? These are the palatals. Palatals. Some people also might call them alveopalatals. Let's call them palatals. And it's very easy to remember because you raise the front part of the tongue to the hard palate. Palatals, palate. Okay, that's the connection to remember, for you to remember. Okay, the The other group are the post-alveolars. Post-alveolars, right? In the production of the post-alveolars, right? Let me. Okay. Sorry. You raise the front part of the tongue, past the alveolar ridge to the. So if we can imagine, if we go back to the. Okay, let's use this one. So if you remember the different parts of the vocal tract, you will remember that the alveolar ridge is in this area, right? Then we have the hard palate, right? Then we have the velum or soft palate, and finally we have the uvula, right? So in the production of the post alveolars, right? Post alveolars, right? We need to understand that this sound is the sound ch, 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 ch. It's produced like after the alveolar ridge and in between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. Okay, ch, ch, as in change, change, ch, 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 ch. So it's almost in this area, right? In between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. So that's why the name post-alveolar, after the alveolar ridge, post-alveolars, right? And some examples you have in connection to the first one, change, church, choke, chimney, right? So it's quite similar to the, well, it's the one that we have in Spanish, that's in Chile, chaleco, chala, right? Change, okay? And in connection to the second one, so we have here ch and j, j. It's exactly the same, but for the second one, you add some voicing. We have ch, ch, and we have j, 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 j. Okay? I need to double check if you're able to see the. Yes, Valentina, I'm going to upload the PowerPoint. Sorry, I didn't see the message before, and I need to confirm that you're actually looking at the the PowerPoint slide. Are you looking at it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So if we focus on the second column, we have choke, match,
Match.
feature,
Feature.
chart,
Chart.
chin.
Chin.
All right, excellent. And if we focus on the last column, right, the one that has G, 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 right? We have judge, midget,
Midget.
George,
George.
magistrate, and residual. Residual, exactly, residual. Interesting, right? Because you see this grapheme here, and this grapheme is what we call the letter D, right? And then you might say, oh, this is residual, right? Residual, but it's actually not residual, it's residual, right? J, okay? Residual. All right, so this is an interesting and difficult example, residual. J, J, J. Okay, it's like going from D to this one, j, j. So you get j, j, j. Okay, we're going to see some differences between these two sounds, ch and j, when we deal with the other two categories, which are a manner of articulation and voicing. Okay, so when we see those two, we're going to see the differences. So far, ch and j in terms of place are exactly the same, and they are produced by raising the front part of the tongue past the alveolar ridge, in between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. Okay? The next group here is the velars. And velars is a very small group composed of three sounds. These three sounds are as follows, right? K, g, and ng. K, g, ng. Okay? And you raise the back part of the tongue this time to the soft palate or velum. Okay? So we're going to use the same, for the same concept, this area, the concepts soft palate or velum. Okay? And so how do you produce a velar sound? You raise the back, because you cannot raise the tip, you cannot raise the front part, you can only raise the back part of the tongue to the soft palate or velum when you're producing k, g, and ng. Some examples are as follow. We have kick, stick, skin, kind, close.
Close.
And in the second column, we have girl, girl, longer,
Longer.
goose,
Goose.
gas,
Gas.
gutter.
Gutter.
Excellent. So you can say gutter or you can say gata, right? It's totally up to you. And the last column, we have sing,
Sang.
finger,
Finger.
think,
Think.
fang,
Hang.
ring.
Ring.
Okay, so when you transcribe these sounds, for example, when you transcribe sing, basically you have sing, sing. Okay, you don't use this. You don't use a symbol to represent that final sound. Because you don't say sing, sing. You say sing, sing, right? Sing. And for example, when you transcribe think, 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 this k is a velar sound, as we just learned, right? So this one is influencing this one. So this one is not longer, when you transcribe it this, right? Think. It's not just think anymore, because as I said before, this velar sound is influencing this one. So you have this thing, because this is not an n anymore, but when you say thing, this become nasalized, right? So when a sound becomes nasalized, so when a sound becomes nasalized, you transform. You have to show it in this case with this symbol. Fan, right? It should be transcribed fan, fang, fang, right? Fang. We don't say fang, right? Fang. So it's fang. And the same with the last one, right? When you say ring, ring, ring. Sorry about that, ring. That would be the last symbol that you should be using in your transcription, right? For words like ring or sing, right? Now, in the case of finger, right? is not exactly the same because you get thing. As you remember, g is a velar sound, right? Velar sound, a sound produced by raising the back of your tongue and to touch the soft palate, right? So that particular sound is influencing this one. So that's why it becomes thing, thing. And then g, thing, right? Thing, thing, right? Okay. Finally, glotals or glottal consonant sounds, right? Particularly, I'm not happy with this one. The symbol representing a glottal stop is this one, right? It's not a question mark, by the way. Okay, it looks like this. I mean, it's exactly the same, but it's not a question mark. It's one complete stick, so to speak. But in connection to the definition or the explanation, the sound is it's when you open the glottis. If you remember, the glottis is the opening in between the vocal folds. So if you imagine this being the one and this being the other vocal fold, right? The space, the gap in between where the airflow can go through is called glottis. Okay. If you let the air go through the open glottis and you pass the tongue and lips, right, as when you're producing a vowel sound, it's like you were about to produce a vowel sound, right? But only the air goes through the vocal cords and having no vibration. That's when you say hat, hat, who, hi, hello, hello. All right, that would be the sound, right? And this one, I'm sorry about the, okay, there. If the air is stopped completely at the glottis, right, by pressing the vocal cords together, right, and you let the airflow go immediately, right, as a plosion, that would be a glottal stop, glottal stop, glottal stop. Let's see if some examples can make this clearer. So when there, so when we produce the first one, we say, for example, hat, who, hole, hand, hammer, hammer, hand, hole, who, hat. One thing that I consider to be difficult about this sound is that some speakers, some Spanish speakers, tend to associate it with. So when I taught some elementary students, I remember some of them saying hat, who, hole, hand, hammer. Okay, I remember that they would replace but by okay, as when you say Juan or Jimenez, there was a replacement of this right by the other sound in Spanish. So there was a transference of one sound from the mother tongue Spanish, right, in this case, into the foreign language. In the production of this one, which might be easy or might be difficult for some, this is called a glottal stop. And if you remember, the glottal stop, for the production of the glottal stop, you have to block the air in the vocal cords area, and then you release it suddenly. So in this example, we have bottle, bottle, button, button, glottal, glottal, burden, burden. Okay, bottle, bottle, button, button,
button,
glottal,
glottal,
glottal, burden,
burden,
burden.
burden.
Exactly. So this is quite common sound for some dialects, not for every single dialect, but you can find this dialect in RP, but also in some dialects in United States. Okay, I'm saying RP or in general some dialects in UK. Okay, so this review for the place of articulation of consonant sounds in English, in which we have all the categories, right? Bilabial, p, b, and m, labiodental, f and v, interdental, th and the, alveolar, t, d, n, s, z, l, palatals, right? As sh, j, ch, G. Remember that we discussed these as post-alveolars, right? Also, velars, k, g, and n, and glottals, right? As h and n. Sorry about that. I need to work on this symbol. So those are the English consonant sounds in terms of place of articulation. Okay. All right. I mean, are you still there? Have you?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we are
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. No, that's right.
Yes.
No, that's right. Okay. So my question is, are you ready for some speaking practice? Yeah, or not so ready.
Professor,
Maybe
Yeah.
Constanza Soto have just wrote a question.
Okay. Constanza, teacher, what about wu and ye? Yeah, we're going to include them. I would say wu, right? It's in terms of place of articulation also included in the bilabial group, because if we go to the, I don't know if am I projecting? Yeah. When we went to the description of the first group, bilabial group, we mentioned that p, b, and m are produced by bringing both lips together, but many phoneticians would include a wu. Sorry about that. I apologize for this one. Okay, there. Would include wu, as Constance is saying, as a bilabial sound, as wu is also articulated by using the lips, and basically the lips bringing them into the shape of a circle can be articulated. Otherwise, you cannot articulate wu in a different way. So we should include wu, right, into the category of bilabial sound, even though it does not match the description here. We're not breaking both lips together as p, but also the two lips are an important part of the articulation of this sound. So yes, wu, we should consider it in this category, bilabial. And as for example in yes, see. Let's suppose that you are finding words in which you can find the sound y, yeah, as in yes, yes. Do you know any other word that might include this sound? That's yes. For example, yet.
Yellow.
Yellow, exactly. Yellow. Excellent. Any other? Okay. So we have this E, which is present in words like yes, yet, yellow, right? We're not talking about the sound J, right? Remember that we don't say Jess, we don't say jet, we don't say jello, right? We say yes, yet, and yellow. When you're producing the initial sound, yes, yet, yellow. And knowing what you know so far, where would you place this sound? But by the way, these two sounds are called by some semi or semi, right? Semi vowels. Semi vowels. Okay, so some people do not include these two sounds, wu and ye, in a description of consonant sounds because they consider them semi-vowels, semi-vowel sounds, all right? Wu and ye are labeled by some phoneticians as semi-vowels. Most of them consider them semi-vowel sounds, okay? But in connection to the Constanza's question, the place of articulation of yeah, what do you think? Yes. Will it be labial dentals? Interdentals? Alveolars? Yes. Yet. Yellow. What do you think? Alveolus?
I think alveolars fit the best.
Alveolars, right? So when you say yes or yet or yellow, is the tip of the tongue touching the alveolar ridge? What do you think? My question is, with what you know, where would you place them? Any ideas?
Palatal.
Palatals, all right. Anybody else? No? Yes?
It's not interdental.
It's not interdental. Okay, so ye would be considered a palatal sound, as one of your classmates mentioned, right? Yes, you say yes, yellow, yet, your tongue is actually, the tip of the tongue is not pressed against the alveolar ridge, so I would not call that alveolar sound. Your tongue is a little bit back in the oral cavity. So I would say that when you're saying yes, yes, the front part of your tongue is touching the hard palate. So we should consider it a palatal sound. Okay? And when you say woo, 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 right? As in what or where, right? Where? It's a labial sound, right? It's like a bilabial sound. Um, but the tongue in this case is pushed back a little bit more back uh, in the mouth, in the oral cavity. So behind the palatal region, we would have the velum, right? The velum or the soft palate. So I would say that when you say woo, 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 the back of your tongue is raised, touching the velum or the soft palate. So we should consider woo as a velar sound, okay? As a velar sound. All right, let me see if there's any other questions here. So that's Constanza. What about w and y? Yeah, w and y are two sounds which phoneticians consider not a consonant sound but a semi-vowel. I mean, not exactly. It's like a category in between. It's not a vowel. It's not a consonant. So they call them semi or semi-vowels, right? And in terms of place of articulation of these two sounds, wu would be a velar sound because the back of the tongue is raised and you touch the soft palate or velum area. And ye as in yes, yes, right? The front part of the tongue is raised, so you are touching the palate, the hard palate. Okay. Okay, can we have a break? And after the break, can we have a speaking practice, please? Because I really would like to do some speaking practice now. Is that okay with you? Now the break, something in between 5 and 10 minutes. Okay, enough for a coffee, enough to relax a bit. Or do we have? Oh, do we have only 1 hour now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If I'm not
okay,
if I am not mistaken, yes, we
no, you're not. No. And thank you for telling me because no one else was telling me. Okay.
I didn't want to be rude. That's why I didn't say anything.
Not at all. Thank you so much for being honest. Okay, I like honesty. Thank you. So I will see you tomorrow. All right, tomorrow we have 2 hours. So I'll see you. I see you tomorrow at the same time in the same channel. Have a good day. I'll see you around. Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
All right, see you around.
Bye,
Thank you.
teacher.
Bye, teacher.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
See you. You
Thank
take
you.
care as well. Thank you.